Hello, yes. So, good morning. Thank you for coming to Hong Kong U Space College of Humanity and Laws Open Day. And we are the English language teams. First of all, welcome everyone to here. And I want to know if the online audience, you can hear me or not. If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up or say something or do something. If you cannot hear me, well, that's a good question. Anyway, I know actually you can hear me. I will check my system because one of the online user is actually my computer uh, in the room, so I don't know whether I can hear my voice or not. But I tested it, I think you can hear it. And if you cannot hear my voice, just write something on the chat box. Can't listen, Jason. Okay, just a minute. Jason. Jason, I think your account hasn't activated your microphone. You don't have microphones activated. Maybe you need to do something. How about others? David, I think you can hear me. Am I right? Good. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, thank you again for coming to the Hong Kong Youth Space OCHL Open Day, and we are very honored to have Professor Winnie Cheng to deliver the first public talk for us. Professor Winnie Cheng is a retired professor from the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, and actually she is my boss. She is, except Cecilia, she is my boss because she is my PhD supervisor. So welcome, Professor Winnie Cheng, and I would like to pass my mic to her.
Thank you, Amos. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'm Winnie Cheng, retired from PolyU English department a few years ago. The talk I'm giving today comes from a bigger project, research project that I and my former colleagues conducted some years ago. You are going to hear more from me about this particular project. But today I would like to concentrate on self-correction and correcting others in interactions in English. As I just said, this talk it was actually published in 2010, so a long time ago. Today I'd like to do a couple of things. First, compare and discuss some examples of our keywords of today, self-correction, correcting others, in two sets of information or two sets of data. One, English language textbooks in Hong Kong. Two, real-life business interactions in Hong Kong. And I'm going to talk about these and give you examples to show three things. How often self-correction and correcting others happen. The language structure, what do people say when they self-correct or when they correct others? Third, how these language structures and to do self-correction and correcting others are used in communication. The second thing I'm going to do is that after giving you examples and some discussions of these examples, I'd like to achieve two aims. One, to illustrate, to show the strengths and weaknesses observed in English language textbooks. All right, not all of them, but the set of English language textbooks that we have examined, we have studied. The second aim is, as a result, I'd like to discuss consequences or implications for speakers, enhancing speakers' communicative competence in the workplace in Hong Kong. I'd like to make a disclaimer at the beginning of my talk. The results I'm going to discuss with you today and with all the examples are taken from real life business context in Hong Kong. So I will focus on the workplace in Hong Kong, not in other contexts, which I will explain in a minute. First of all, let me say something about self-correction and correcting others, or other correction. The definition here is a simple one, taken from a dictionary that you and I and a lot of people, a lot of users of English language consult. Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. And the term is speech act, right? Speech act. What's the definition of speech act? Something that somebody says considered as an action. So, for example, I forgive you. When somebody says, I forgive you, what is the action? Verbal. What is the oral, verbal action? The action is forgiveness, right? If I want to, if I want to express that I forgive you, I can absolutely say I forgive you, but I can also say other things, such as I accept your apology. Right? You said sorry to me, and I said I accept your apology, meaning forgiveness. But I didn't say I forgive you, meaning speech act, verbal action, all right, to perform something, to do something. There is a wide range of possibilities, a wide range of words and phrases that we can use. At the beginning, I said that this talk on self-correction and correcting others comes out from a bigger research project. Let me show you the just keywords, right? These are the relevant publications in order to illustrate what are the possible speech acts that we perform, that we do verbally on a daily basis. Now, this is a list of some common ones, common speech acts or verbal actions. Agreement, agreement as well. Thank you, so thanking. Sorry to interrupt, but so interrupting, interruption. Checking understandings. I would say be very careful of opine markers. This is expressing opinion, expressing an opinion. The last one, here, disagreement, right? So we have examined agreement, disagreement, thanking, interrupting, checking understandings, opinion, giving an opinion, and disagreement. And of course, today, our talk, correcting others and self-correction in business and professional discourse and textbooks. So I talked about Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, we have looked at some English language textbooks. So what are they? What were they? And they were 15 English language textbooks, and they were used in Form 6, Form 4, Form 5, Form 6, and Form 7. Right? Those days, when we had our English language, a certificate of English examination. So we looked at 15 English language books. You will have a list of these books in a minute. These books were endorsed by EDB of Hong Kong. The second set of data came from Hong Kong Corpus of Spoken English, HKCSE. We examined business corpus. I'm going to explain now. Now, so this is the list of the 15 textbooks. Yeah. Focusing on oral practice, speaking precisely, skills for success, steps and skills. Okay. I spoke about very, very quickly Hong Kong Corpus Spoken English. There were 4 subcorpora, 4 of them. Academic, business, conversation, public. And on the 2 slides above, there is the URL, so you could very welcome go to this website and look at what we have got, all right, on this website. Very quickly, in this business corpus, we have altogether 30 hours of English spoken data, altogether 156 audio recordings in terms of number of words, we made recordings and we transcribed, right? We listened to the audio recording and we wrote down at that time. This was done by our research project staff. Altogether, there were 269 Hong Kong Chinese, and non-Hong Kong Chinese, we have 93. Ratio of talk between Hong Kong Chinese and non-Hong Kong Chinese, 3.2 to 1. So more words were spoken by Hong Kong Chinese compared to non-Hong Kong Chinese. The content, because we are going to look at how people in these different settings use correction, correcting oneself and correcting others. So I thought it is important, all right, for us to understand what is in the business of Corpus. 31% job and placement interview. So I'll very quickly run down the list of content: presentation and Q&A session, business meeting, informal office talk, announcement and Q&A, presentation, service encounters at airport, at the Hong Kong International Airport, as well as hotels, conference call, video conferencing, workplace telephone talk. So we were able to make audio recordings of all of these different types of business interactions. The next 6 slides, I'm going to show you what we found from the textbooks. Remember, there were 15 textbooks. Only 2 of them describe correction. Correction has got 2 types, right? Correcting oneself and correcting other people. Now, in one book, as of 2003, there are 2 tiny sections on correction: making self-correction, correcting others politely. In another book, Sutton, 1999, there is a tiny section called Good Intonation for Self-Correction. And here I'd like to highlight the word intonation. I'm sure we know what intonation is, but I've got a definition here from Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary: the rise and fall of the voice in speaking, especially as this affects the meaning of what is being said. Now, the second part of this definition, I didn't read it with any intonation, all right? I was reading it really flat. So, all right, this is intonation. So let's bear in mind, Sutton, 1999, was teaching our students in Hong Kong schools good intonation for self-correction. Let's carry on. Now, as of 2003, there are only 3 sets of 3 expressions. All right, making self-correction. Let me show you the this one instead. Okay, the same, but I've used different colors to highlight what are common across these 3 expressions. Yours is black and white, right? Yeah, I mean the printout. So on this, I have done a little bit of emphasizing. All right. Now, oh no, actually, I mean no. In fact, I think we shouldn't. We should. Sorry, I think I was wrong to say. In fact, come to think about it, it is better. So, as of 2003, the book was kind of describing to our students, when you want to do correction, making self-correction, these are 3 expressions, suggestions that you can use, right? Beginning with no, negation, no. Actually, in fact, these are for emphasis purposes. The emphasis purpose is and this is to show that what I have just said was a little problematic, right? I'm going to elaborate. I'm going to give you more detailed information. In fact, right, compared to what I have just said. So by doing this, the speaker would be telling people, I'm going to make self-correction. Now, the third is interesting as well. Sorry and apology, all right? And then I believe, I was wrong to say, admitting that I made some mistakes. And then, in fact, I'm telling you, I'm going to give you more information, more details compared to what I have just said. Now, remember, ESSA 2003 also was described to our students how to correct others politely. Again, 3 expressions. Do you see some common words here? All of them begin with sorry, 100%. Sorry, sorry. And then address, all right, other address, Miss Y or you. And then all of them has got, I think, right? This is what I believe, what I think. It is not right to say. You are wrong. It is not suitable to say. Right. Now, bear this in mind, all right? Is it actually good to tell people when you correct others, right? Before you correct others, is it, what do you think, all right? Ask yourself, do you think it is good to say, well, maybe the way I put my question, all right, is a little biased. I think it is not right to say, you are wrong. It is wrong to say, all right? Less face threatening, it is wrong to say rather than you are wrong, all right? A little better, but still using a negative word, wrong. And then I think it is not suitable to say, not suitable, not suitable. All negation, negation, negation. Good intonation, right? Are you interested in what Sutton 1999 means by good intonation for self-correction? Now I have again, all right, highlighted. The bold type is not in the original. This is my emphasis. Sorry. Right. So, according to Sutton, 1999, these and good intonation. Intonation, we've just read the definition. Good intonation is the rise and fall, right, of our voice in speech, rather than and Now, Collins Dictionary has got definitions for and the same, all right? Meaning, when you do transcription, when you convert speech to writing, to text, right? You would write the sounds in this way. And to represent the sound that people make when they hesitate. So they are called hesitation markers. Or later on, we have another term, all right? A more kind of neutral term. We call them filler. Fill a gap. Right. Okay, let's move on. So on the next 3 slides, I'm going to answer this question. How did we look for the speech acts of self-correction and correcting others in business of Corpus? These 3 slides show us what we did, all right? So the procedure, the steps. The first step, we looked at Esther, we looked at Sutton, these 2 textbooks. We drew from their expressions some words. We identify words. So, for example, I'm just giving you some examples here. Oh no, I mean. So we looked at I mean, in fact, sorry, etc. Right. After that, so the next step, we used these words to search in our business of Corpus for self-correction and correcting others. Okay, now, so these are the findings. And altogether, we have identified 9 words or phrases. I think, no, actually, I mean, sorry, in fact, wrong, not right, not suitable. And we looked at, and then in our business of Corpus, this is what we found, right? 1,002 I think no 766, wrong 37, number 7, wrong 37, not suitable, 2 words together, 3. But it doesn't mean that in our business of corpus, we found people using I think, right, before correcting others. I'm going to explain. These lines are a bit difficult to read. Forget about these lines. I just want to give you a screenshot of when we looked at our corpus. All these markers are actually marking intonation, different intonation, emphasis, rise and fall. Now, but the point I wanted to show is this is our 3rd step. Study relevant lines in our corpus database. What is corpus in Chinese? 语流符, corpus, 语流符. These days we have huge data, all right? People analyze collect huge amounts of information. AI, all right? This is what corpus is. Corpus, 语流符, it was one of the developments of artificial intelligence, collecting huge amounts of data and then do data analysis. Now, so we studied relevant lines. Let me give you one example of the word sorry. We found sorry occurring 102 times, but only 13.73% of sorry perform a correction function. And we have actually identified line numbers. For example, the speaker initiates self-correction to change much more units to a larger number of units. Allow me to go back to the previous slide. Line 1. See there. Much more unit, then sorry, a larger number of units, right? So this is a case of self-correction from much more unit to a larger number of units. So the speaker, after saying much more unit, right, some problems, and then decided to, after and then an apology, sorry, correct herself to a larger number of units. Now this is getting a little bit detailed, right? Self-correction has got 2 types. You can do self-correction initiated, all right, by yourself, or the self-correction can be initiated or suggested by another person. The correction, you correct other people, you can do it initiated by yourself, or you can do it, all right, initiated by other people. And this is interesting. 99.13% self-initiated self-correction. So almost 100%, right, were, I need to correct myself, all right? Then I do the correction. The following four slides on what we found on correction types in our business of Corpus. I have just said self-initiated self-correction, almost 100%. So the participants in our business interactional context in Hong Kong, they correct themselves far more frequently. In fact, indeed, almost exclusively than correct others. I have an example of what we mean by self-correction initiated by the speaker. B is Hong Kong Chinese, a hotel staff member. So this happened at a hotel checkout, at the hotel checkout counter. Speaker B says, "Did you talk?" Forget about the grammar, right? Of course, we know "did you talk" is grammatically incorrect, right? Did you take? not did you talk. Our focus here is self-initiated self-correction. The mean from the minibar. Yeah. So see the self-correction here from the mean from the minibar. There is no sorry or pause, right? Almost immediately, the mean from the minibar. Another example, this is self-correction, but this is another person initiated. So the uh, well, best to illustrate with this example. Mr. B, this is hotel, this is airport, right? Airport text. Mr. B, you are going to Jakarta. This is a short pause. This indicates a tiny, right? Less than a second. Mr. B, you are going to Jakarta. And Mr. B, may I have $100 for the airport tax, please? Now, I have put down here as a trouble source because line 3, the uppercase B, asked how much. Okay. Trouble source means somebody says something, but it has become a problem, all right? Maybe due to maybe understanding problem, maybe hearing problem, maybe speaking problem, that the other person couldn't get it, couldn't understand it, didn't hear it clearly. So line 3, how much? This is a correction initiated by another person. Oh, sorry, 100. In fact, content doesn't change. Line 1, 100. Line 4, also 100. Yeah, also 100. But he has to give an apology, sorry, and then a hesitation marker or a filler, then 100, right? He doesn't repeat himself with no reason, right? He has to repeat himself by saying 100 again, right? Because there was some hearing problem. Okay, let me move on. Now, other correction, meaning correcting the other people, the other person, but this is initiated by the speaker himself, herself. We have two speakers here, A1 and B. Now, A1, but I meant the contract will end the end of October with a short pause. A1 herself said no. Yeah, she A is a female speaker. She herself realized, right, there's something needing correction. Uh, then she did not do the correction herself, right? In fact, it is B who did the correction for her. No, the end of August, right? No, not the end of October, the end of August. But A1, she herself realized, right? Realized the problem. There is some trouble. So she says no. Okay, now I have given you a few examples from our business of Corpus to show what we means by self-correction and correcting others. Let us move on. Uh, we compared textbook and business of Corpus, making self-correction. Let's just do the comparison here. Remember, Sutton, right, 2003, right, has got, oh, no, actually, I mean, no, in fact, I think we shouldn't, we should. Sorry, I think I was wrong to say, in fact, come to think about it, it is better. But from our business of Corpus, what we found, right, was something this simple. Did you talk? Forget about the grammatical mistake. The mean from the minibar. No, oh, no, actually, I mean, I think. All right, we have some sorry. We have some cases of sorry. I'm going to talk about it. This is just in the middle of our talk, all right? Just a reminder of what this talk is about, how often they occur, the language structure. We have actually looked at some language structures, how they are used in communication. All right. Just have you got any questions that you would like to ask at this point? Then I'll carry on, right? With hope that there will be some time at the end for Q&A. All right, let's move on. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about, this is actually the last part of what we found, our findings. Then I will go to conclusions and implications. All right, the last part. Remember, now let me go back. How they are used in communication here, right? How correcting others are used. So this part, I'd like to show what we call strategies, right? How do people do these in business sub-corpus, and how often? Your slide, I've got sorry. All right. This is new. You don't find these words on the slide. All right. I just like to point this out. For okay, now very quickly, for self-correction strategies or over that side, right? We have these direct utterance of correction without an initiation, without I mean, I think, right, nothing, or um just just utter the correction, all right. This is 63.4%. Yep. You don't say, oh no, actually, in fact, we shouldn't, we should. No, no, no. The second one, from the second one to the last one, see the percentages ranging from 8.5 to 1.2%. So these occur really infrequently. All right. Filler, sometimes sorry or sometimes without sorry, and then the correction of means the mean minibar, right? So China, a chi China, cut off and a filler and correction. I mean, and sometimes sorry, sometimes without sorry, only occurring 4 times, 4.9%. If we look at this part, the right hand side of the slide, correcting others, direct utterance of correction without any I think, I mean, pause. We only found 5. We only found 5 times. Shall we look at the total? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to give you a few examples to show what we mean by direct utterance and what we mean by filler plus correction and so on. First, I didn't bring any chance, blah, blah, blah. I don't. No, I need to repair this problem. So I didn't. I didn't. Filler, correction will be the best time. So I have decided to, I've already checked with. This is cut off, filler, correction. The whole text would be in Chinese. And then the transcription will be. So the trouble source ing is cut off, followed by and then self-correction, Chinese. I think one more, maybe. Transcriptions as well. And those are natural recordings from, I mean, natural conversations. We've just looked at some examples of self-correction. Here we've got an example of correcting others. This is direct utterance of correction without any initiation, without any I mean, I think, or a pause. We have two speakers, A2, a female, and B2, a male speaker. Singapore is not like Hong Kong because so there's some inaudible meaning we couldn't hear, so we couldn't transcribe. Let me start again. Singapore is not like Hong Kong because it only has, I think, 2.5 million, population. Then the speaker B2 says 3 million. This is correcting A2 by speaking 3 million without any pause. I mean, and sorry, or sorry. E2's other correction, 3 million, directly follows speaker A2's 2.5 million. Yeah. Other correction, direct utterance without any initiation. But we have just looked at how frequent these are. Yeah, there were only five times, occurring only 5 times. Direct utterance of correction without any initiation. Percentage is really high, 62.5%. But if you look at the actual number, only 5. We have another example. Correcting others. We have looked at this before, right? But I meant that the contract will end the end of October. A short pause. No, the end of August. Spoken by speaker B, another speaker. There is a pause and then correction, right? We've got B, right? The uppercase B is non-Chinese, non-Hong Kong Chinese. The lowercase b is a Hong Kong Chinese, both male. I want to check out A221 room number. H221. Pause. Mr. G. Pause. Let me see. Pause. Is 8122. So speaker B's trouble source, A221, is corrected by speaker B, saying 8122 after a pause, during which speaker B is checking the hotel room number. So sometimes these pauses are necessary because things are happening, all right? People are doing things, checking, looking at information on the screen before the other correction can happen. All right. What did we find? I will be very, very quick because I have actually said a lot. Actually, I said a lot of what I'm going to say. Correction occurring so many times was found in 66.1% of the business context in the subcorpus. We've looked at, remember, we identified 9 words or phrases and looked at these words, how often they in our business subcorpus. And so we've got some numbers here. Correction is markedly underrepresented in the textbooks. What do I mean? Only 2 of the 15 textbooks include, describe correction. Whereas in our business subcorpus, correcting oneself and correcting others occur frequently. Major differences. We identified major differences in the 2 sets of data. How often correction occurs? Not covered in textbooks. The textbooks didn't tell us anything about numbers and frequencies. The language structure, hugely different. How they are used in communication, where, when, who, what, why. These are not covered in the textbook. The textbooks just list out 3 expressions. We call them formulaic expressions, and asking our students to learn them and use them. No, we don't want our students to learn those expressions, do we? No. From the textbooks, making self-correction, we have got We have got ESSA 2003, all right, correcting others politely. We have got ESSA 2003. Then in our study, we actually found direct utterance of correction, blah, blah, blah. All right, we have looked at all of these strategies. Let's do a comparison. Nothing, all right, in the yellow column, the yellow heading column, all right, was covered in the textbooks. How they did it. The great majority of our correction strategies, they are not found in the textbook examples. Yep. Let's move on. So we have to ask these questions. ESSA 2003, written self-correction. Are these self-correction initiated by oneself or initiated by another person? It doesn't say. Does making self-correction compare with correcting others? Which of them occurs more often? No, the book doesn't tell us. Yeah. The same, likewise, correcting others politely. Does correcting others compare with making self-correction? Which of them occurs more often? No, the textbook doesn't tell us. Correcting others, but then in our finding, we know that correcting others occurs only 0.11% in the business of Corpus. See what I mean here? Next, the words, the phrases recommended in the textbook's correction, they are not coming out from objective scientific inquiry into genuine real life interactions. Are they? They are not. So why did these textbooks describe to our students and then get them to learn? Oh no, actually I mean, sorry, Miss Y, I think it is wrong to say. Where did these textbooks get these expressions to show our students, to teach our students, to make our students learn them, remember them, recite them, and use them in future? Remember Sutton 1999? Good intonation, rise and fall of the voice. The use of fillers is not good intonation. This has nothing to do with intonation. Besides, fillers are only used 15 times. Let me come to my conclusion on 2 slides. I have illustrated, I have shown with examples and frequencies, percentages, the strengths of Corpus, 语流符, and the weaknesses of the English textbooks, right, that we have examined in our research study. Textbooks, I'd like to introduce 2 words here. Competence. Textbooks would teach our students competence, be able to do something. Skills, language, structure. So textbooks tend to rely on the intuition of, there is a typo here, should be, or the introspections of the textbook writers rather than real world language users. I'm going to explain 3 terms. 1, performance. Performance are what speakers actually say, right, in real life situations, real life interactions, performance. Competence, I have just described, all right, competence are the skills and the words that people learn, all right, should equip themselves with these skills and expressions in order to perform. 2 more terms I'd like to describe. So textbook writers, they tend to rely on their intuition, meaning their insights, what they think, all right, should be the case. 2, or there is a typo, or the introspections. Introspections of the textbook writers refer to examination of their own understanding of something, right? This is what I learned from school days. So this is what I have understood. I have been understanding these things in this way. So when I write a textbook, this is what I put down. Okay. The last slide of conclusion. Speech acts, we have looked at what they are. All right. Earlier on, I forgive you is a speech act, a speech action of forgiveness. Now, the speech acts presented in these textbooks, they are. I'd like to explain this term: decontextualized, de without context, extremely limited. What do I mean? All right. So decontextualized, meaning where, who, how, why, the textbooks did not cover. So we have to ask ourselves these questions. How far do textbooks teach our students an appropriate model of speech act, correction, correcting oneself, correcting others? Their frequency of occurrence, how often they occur, the language structure, and how they are used, right? The textbooks, how far do textbooks? I'm asking an open-ended question here, right? In fact, my answer has been expressed. So this is for us to give it a little bit further thoughts. How far? Are these prescriptive, like doctor's prescription, right? You have an influenza, so you have to take these different types of medicine. Are the descriptive textbooks, textbook rules, are they logical? Are they factually sound? Can they be actually misleading? Are the prescriptive presentations misleading because they miss out the variety of the language structures available to speakers in real life interactions? We have a lot of expressions, right? For us, ready for our use. Depending on our experience in schools we have attended before, and the textbooks we have read, and if we comply with Sutton and what's the other one? Esser, right? These would become really problematic. Our students would sound like, do you know this term, talking machine? All right, just repeating something, really not natural. My last question here: how far do textbooks satisfy the communicative focus on meaning in context? Meaning in context, the why, the who, the when, the where. Yeah. I may have one or two slides on implications, and then I will finish my talk here. Implications for enhancing our communicative competence in the workplace in Hong Kong. We need to examine real life language use in business, in the workplace. Or if we don't have access, if I don't have access to real life interactions, what do we do? All right, we have got a lot of 语料 for Corpus research findings, right? That we can draw from, we can read, and in fact, a lot these I have illustrated the definitions of words from Collins Dictionary, from Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, and these major dictionaries, they are coming from huge corpora, right? So when we refer to the definitions from these dictionaries, we are already using corpus information. My second point, we need to examine both the wider and the immediate context of interaction, including culture. Okay. I have said these WH words many times during the last 50 minutes. The where, the when, the what, and the why. And of course, the who. Who is also really interesting and rather complex. When it comes to who, it means our distance, our relationship, the status difference, the roles, the positions in the organization, our relationships, all right? So rather complex. And these contextual information and details we have to be aware of, right, in real life interaction, in order to improve our communicative competence in the workplace. All right, I think this is the last slide. We have got a few minutes for Q&A.
Yes. Thank you, Winnie.
Thank you so much.
I want to know whether we have some questions from the online audience and the friends here. I want to ask you one very important question. What did you say when you want to try to correct yourself in spoken English? Any idea? So, for example, if I make some mistake in my speech, and if I want to correct it, will you say, "Oh no, actually I mean"? Probably no. But why? Think about that. Why we don't use the textbook context to do it? Because we want to pass the message, but not to overload the cognitive uh, system of the hearer. But I remember when I was studying English when I was a child. At that time, actually, British English is the dominated English in teaching. But right now, English is more loose. We have American English. We have many different types of English. Even Hong Kong, we have Hong Kong English. At that time, actually, when we are talking about self-correcting or correcting other, we use the word pardon. And even now, when I go to UK, actually, pardon is also a very frequently used word to do it. So, can you share with us what exactly is the pardon and why it is not that frequently heard in Hong Kong now?
Well, this is a really good question. All I have just said what was coming from our business purpose, right? And these are collections of interactions in different business contexts, job interviews, service encounters, presentations that we were able to collect in Hong Kong in those times, right? And then the corpus was put together long time ago. Okay, I showed you our publications starting 20 years ago, 20 years ago to 10 years ago, right? Ranging a long time. So the information, so it all depends on the corpus information. The very good question that Amos has asked, all right, my immediate answer would be, if we study an American corpus, right, rather than a corpus of English in Hong Kong, spoken by Hong Kong Chinese and non-Hong Kong Chinese speakers, right? We will have this is my first response. The second response is when we did our project, we had to think about, right, how did we do it? How would we do it? And then remember that I had shown 3 steps. Step 1 is identified 9 words, phrases that we sort of copied from the textbook. There's only one textbook. That's 2003, right? So this is why we did not have pardon. My third response would be, as a follow-up, I don't know. If I type pardon in this in this business of corpus and search, right, I may be able to find some examples of pardon.
Okay, okay, thank you. Any more questions about how to say self-correcting your English or self-correcting your expression? Indeed, I have some sharing with all of you. When we are talking about spoken English, no matter it's in a test or in a daily conversation, you want to pass the message to the hearer. And that's just the most important thing. And indeed, when I unflow many native English speakers spoken text, even from the radio, Actually, they have so many grammatical mistakes. They have so many errors, and well, for more fluent English speaker and to distinguish the one with less fluent one, more or less, we are talking about how many, how many, mm, uh, something like that. Actually, these fillers are very useful for your daily conversation in English. Remember, somehow if we put in some phrases, for example, like actually, I mean, I'm sorry, this is not blah, blah, blah. Actually, you distort the intention or the meaning of the whole conversation. Other people want to hear the context or key point. So more or less in spoken English, we have another things which we call intonation. Intonation means that probably we will put the most important elements to say it louder, and the less important one softer. So the hearer will only hear the most key elements in conversation. I would recommend you to use pardon, not in Hong Kong. I tried it many times. In Hong Kong, many people will just think that, oh, you're so old school. So use or just repeat it. Like what my study in my master degree is about the filler. You know, I don't know whether you heard about so many native speakers use the word you know. So when you're trying to find different meaning or you're just trying to fill the gap, hold it for to continue your speech while you're searching for some context, or you don't have that word, but you still want to pass the message on. So you will use, you know, those fillers are native vocabulary that we never learned them in the coursework. So when you look at or when you listen to this native speaker one, try to adopt this filler. Like they are perfectly fine in spoken English. No one will deduct your mark in real life spoken conversation. So any more questions from the online audience or the people here? Okay, so I would like to thank you, Professor Benija,
Thank you
for our talk today. Welcome everyone, come here, and we'll have another. Yep. And we'll have another talk at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So 2:30 or 2 o'clock, 2 to 3 by Miss Yvonne So. And I would like to thank Professor Winnie Cheng and